Let me ask you something. You wake up tomorrow and your bank account has $1 billion in it. What do you do with it? Most people immediately think, savings account, maybe some index funds, throw a chunk into real estate, call it a day. And honestly, that answer would cost you tens of millions of dollars every single year. Because the truly wealthy don't just store money. They deploy it into a very specific system. 3 distinct categories, each with a different job, each protecting and growing their fortune in a completely different way. Get this system right, and wealth compounds across generations. Get it wrong, and even $1 billion can quietly disappear. So today, we're pulling back the curtain on exactly where billionaires park their money, and why one ancient asset is quietly becoming the most important piece of the entire puzzle. If success is your goal and you're ready to level up, make sure you subscribe. Every video is crafted to move you closer to the life you deserve. Category 1, the speed layer. The first bucket is all about one thing, being ready to move. Here's a scenario. You're worth $500 million, but almost all of it is sitting in commercial real estate across 6 cities. Then one morning, a distressed company becomes available at a fraction of its value, but you have 72 hours to wire $150 million or the deal disappears. What do? If your money is locked in buildings, you're done. You miss it. That's the trap most people never think about. Wealth that can't move is wealth that can't respond. And in the world of big money, opportunities don't wait. This is why the first layer of a billionaire's financial structure is always liquidity. Cash-equivalent holdings that sit ready, earn something decent, and can be accessed almost immediately. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Billionaires do not park this money in regular bank accounts. A standard savings account in the U.S. was yielding around 0.4% in late 2025. On $10,000, that's $40 for the year. On $1 billion, that's $4 million. Sounds like a lot until you realize the alternative. Short-term U.S. Treasury bills at roughly 4% annually. That same billion now generates $40 million, same money, same safety. $36 million difference, just from choosing a better parking spot. So what are they using? 2 primary instruments. First, Treasury bills. These are essentially short-term loans you give to the U.S. government, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and they pay you back with interest on a fixed schedule. The risk is as close to zero as you can get in finance because the issuer literally controls the currency. Billionaires love T-bills for their predictability and safety. Second, money market funds. Think of these as professionally managed pools that buy the same safe short-term debt on your behalf. You put money in, the managers handle all the complexity of maturities and reinvestment, and you can pull your money out almost any day you want. The yield is competitive, and the headache is minimal. By 2025, money market funds surpassed $7 trillion in total assets globally, a number that tells you exactly where serious capital goes when it wants to stay safe but still productive. Think of this entire layer like a car engine kept warm and idling. It isn't racing anywhere, but the moment you need to move, it goes immediately. Category 2, the fortress. While one portion of their wealth stays liquid, another portion is designed to do the opposite. Get locked away and never touched again. This is the generational layer, the money that isn't meant to perform for you this quarter or even this decade. Its purpose is something bigger, surviving everything, lawsuits, tax events, economic cycles, and even the poor decisions of future heirs. The tools used here aren't bank accounts or brokerage positions, they're legal and structural. Family offices are the backbone of this layer. These are private wealth management entities set up specifically to serve a single family's financial interests. The Waltons have one. The Kochs have one. Most billionaires you've heard of have one. Globally, family offices are estimated to manage over $5 trillion in assets, a number expected to grow steadily through the end of this decade. Then there are trusts and foundations. A trust is a legal structure that separates an asset from the individual who owns it. Once inside a trust, that money follows a predetermined rulebook, not the emotions or impulses of whoever inherits it. The asset is protected from creditors, shielded from certain estate taxes, and structured to benefit specific people in specific ways at specific times. It's how old money stays old money. Holding companies complete the picture. Private corporate structures that sit above individual assets, providing liability protection and tax efficiency while keeping control in the family's hands. What lives inside this fortress? Primarily three things. Equity, stakes in companies, often the ones the billionaire built or invested in early. These are almost never sold. Buffett's position in Berkshire Hathaway. The Walton family's Walmart shares. These holdings compound for decades, sometimes centuries. Prime real estate, not properties bought to flip, but properties bought to hold permanently. Family estates, landmark city buildings, agricultural land passed down through generations. According to research on North American family offices, direct real estate consistently makes up 13 to 14% of portfolio allocations, and art and collectibles. This one surprises people, but the logic is simple. A Monet or a Basquiat is portable, unregulated, appreciates over long time horizons, and can be moved across borders without triggering the same scrutiny as financial assets. It's concentrated value in a physical form. This layer isn't designed to make billionaires richer. It's designed to make sure their descendants never fall out of wealth entirely. Category 3, the bunker. The third and final layer is where things get philosophically interesting, because this one isn't about returns at all. It's about what happens when the system itself stops working reliably. Billionaires have watched currencies inflate into worthlessness. They've seen stock markets lose half their value in months. They've seen banks fail, governments default, and geopolitical shocks erase paper fortunes overnight. They know that everything denominated in dollars or euros or any fiat currency ultimately depends on trust in institutions. And institutions are not infallible. So the third layer holds assets that don't care about any of that. Land, farmland, timberland, water rights, mineral rights. These are finite physical assets whose value is derived not from market sentiment or institutional trust, but from the most fundamental human requirements: food, water, shelter, energy. No matter what currency is in circulation, no matter what happens to interest rates or tech stocks or bond markets, people need to eat. Farmland produces that food. Its value is anchored in biological necessity. Bill Gates has become the most visible example of this strategy. He now holds an estimated 275,000 acres of farmland across the United States, more than any other private individual in the country. For someone whose fortune was built on software, that's a striking allocation. But it makes complete sense once you understand what farmland actually is. A productive asset that generates steady lease income, appreciates with inflation, and carries essentially zero obsolescence risk. Gates isn't alone. Data from agricultural land trackers shows that billionaire farmland ownership in the U.S. has climbed by over 30% since 2018, with total holdings now exceeding 2 million acres. That's not coincidence. That's a thesis. Beyond farmland, serious money is also moving into timberland. Forests that generate income through sustainable harvests, while the underlying land appreciates. Trees grow regardless of what the Dow Jones does. Families like the Rockefellers have held resource-rich land positions for over a century, and modern billionaires are replicating that playbook with water rights, mineral rights, and energy infrastructure layered on top. The mental model here is powerful. In a game of Monopoly, if someone flips the board, all the paper money scattered across the table becomes meaningless. But the properties, the physical squares, still have value. They're still there. Land is the board. Everything else is the money on top of it. The pattern. Step back from all three layers and a single principle emerges. Billionaires don't chase the highest return available at any given moment. They build architecture. One layer for speed and opportunity, one layer for permanence and protection, one layer for resilience when the macro environment turns hostile. The liquidity layer keeps them ready. The fortress layer keeps them stable. The bunker layer keeps them standing. Most people spend their entire financial lives thinking only about layer one: how to earn more, save more, invest more. The wealthy think in all three dimensions simultaneously, And that's the gap that compounds over time into something that looks like an insurmountable advantage. Start thinking about your money not as a number, but as a system. That's the shift that changes everything. In every video, I try to discuss and address the factors that surely improve the chances of your success. If you like this also, subscribe the channel, like and share the wealthy knowledge to your loved ones. See you in the next video.